Hello, Namaste, India. Hello to my friends in North America and Caribbean and viewers who have tuned in. Thank you so much. A big shout out to everyone who's logged in right now to see me talk about writing in general and my books. And I'm also going to share some publishing tips today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Uh, this is a story club, and my name is Jasveersinghdangi. We are all about storytelling. More than an author, I call myself a storyteller. Storytelling comes easy to me because I've been a trainer for a long time. I'm a soft skill and a behavioral skills trainer. I do bits and pieces of podcasting. I am a health and safety professional, and I'm an author since 2018. I have published about 8 books since 2018, and I've got 2 co-authored books. Uh, Still, uh, I mean, I would rather call myself a storyteller than an author. Thank you so much, A Story Club, for giving me this opportunity. Arun Bhagwati, Shivani Dalal, you guys are great. We've recently met, but I feel that we are going to go a long way ahead and we'll do some fantastic things together. So thank you so much for this opportunity. This event, happens to be the first time I'm doing a solo show, and this seemed like a fantastic opportunity. I jumped for it. Hopefully, you all are going to enjoy it. Thank you so much for tuning in. So, a bit about my recent book, The Essence of Ganga, Story of Mandakini. It's the story of a healthcare professional from India. Her name is Mandakinipawar. She's a seasoned healthcare professional, and she's been into a lot of social work as well. She's a social entrepreneur as well. Now she's quit her full-time job and she is into full-time social work. She's setting up her first social workshop in Panjegao, which is close to Rishikesh. And Rishikesh is how we connected. You know, I've been to mountains a lot. I fell in love with mountains when my dad was posted in Shimla way back, I think in late 90s or maybe, sorry, late 80s or maybe early 90s. I simply fell in love with the mountains, the greenery, the snow, and everything. I love everything about it. And probably that's why I chose to come to Canada. My wife might hate me for bringing her over here, but I simply love everything about Canada. The cold weather, I simply freak out in snow. So that's how we connected. Rishikesh, the first time my friend RK Ravindra Daviru mentioned about Rishikesh and a healthcare professional living over there. He said, "Do you want to write a story about somebody who's living in Rishikesh?" I said, I forgot the somebody part, and I only, the Rishikesh part resonated. I love Rishikesh. And I've done a lot of soloing over there. I've done a lot of climbing. I haven't done rafting because of my fear for water. People laugh that I've been to Rishikesh so many times and I haven't done rafting, but someday I will surely do that. So that's how our connection started with Mandakini. RK was connected with Mandakini, and RK is also a social entrepreneur. He's a cancer crusader, a great guy. I call him Dada. He's like a brother to me, and that's how we got connected to Mandakini. And when I spoke to Mandakini, she was reluctant. She was hesitant. She said, "You know what? I'm not a great personality. Why would anybody read my story? I mean, I don't want to write it." And people had been telling her, she's been into healthcare. She's done a lot for healthcare excellence using the Baldrige business excellence methodology. She even went to US to study the workings of hospitals who were already using the Baldrige methodology, business excellence, and she got those best practices to India. So she had already done a lot. She's worked with a lot of heavyweights in the healthcare sector in India, and I've named and acknowledged them in the book itself. Uh, so finally, we managed to convince her to get this book published. But the first challenge was to give her the initial draft. That was the challenge. Step one was to convince her. Uh, so we gave it a lot of thought, me and RK, and we said, what should be the direction of the book? And I had no idea, by the way, and this is something that I'm not very proud of. But RK told me Mandakini actually means Ganga. And uh, I really laughed at my ignorance and not knowing about my own culture. But that was it, that ticked. Why don't we use Ganga as the anchor to narrate her story? And initially, I sent her a draft of about 1,000 words. She simply loved it. And apart from being a spiritual person, she is religious, right? She follows her religion uh, strictly. And not that she doesn't respect other religions, but that's the best part about spirituality. And I'm going to talk more about that. After approving the initial draft, I sent her the second draft, which had about 5,000 words, and she really loved it. And finally, she gave a go ahead for the book. And the rest is history. We managed to come up with the final draft in about 3 months. She read it, she reread it, she loved it, and finally, it got uh, published about a month ago. The response has been really good, and people have loved sort of way we've narrated the story. So this is not just a biography. Using the river Ganga, Ganges as the anchor, we've tried to narrate a bigger picture. So what happens when you trust in the universe? Uh, when good things happen to us, we tend to give justification, reasoning, logic. At least that's the modern way. If you go ahead and tell somebody that what, this thing happened and it's a miracle, the fear is that the people are going to laugh. Whoever you tell the story, they're going to laugh. So it's very difficult to follow your beliefs these days because people tend to put a lot of logic, a lot of science behind them. But let's face it, there are some things which cannot be explained by science. It's unknown. It can only be looked through the lens of faith. And you know what start with stories, right, thousands of years ago, becomes faith later. That's how you form a religion. You don't look at it from the point of view of logic. You don't look at it from the point of view of whether it was true or not. It's faith, right? And anything that gives you confidence, anything that gives you a reason to live, I think is a uh, good enough reason for me. So herein we are talking about faith, and Mandakini has a huge faith in the universe. That is her firm belief. She believes that as long as you have a constructive mindset, as long as your plans are for yourself, you're competing with yourself, you're not hurting anybody, the universe will bring everything together and bring your dreams into reality. You do your bit. That doesn't mean that you don't do your bit. You keep doing your bit, and sooner or later, you will have fruitful results. If you can keep the faith, if you can be patient, and I can vouch for it. When I initially came to Canada, everybody said that it's going to take a lot longer time for you to get back into your own field because Canadians, they value their own experience, Canadian experience. I agreed, I accepted that fact and started working in a job. But I did not consider that job as a survival job. I used my skills and I just had faith. And sooner than later, in about 11 months, I got a job in my own field. Everybody was surprised, but yeah, I was able to do that because I was patient and I had the full confidence. And that's what sort of resonated when Mandakini was narrating her story. And I'm not a religious guy, I'm an atheist guy, but I do have respect for all religions. To some extent, I can call myself spiritual because I still believe in the higher power. Now, I believe that that power does not have a name. It could be earth, it could be the trees, it could be the sky that gives us rain and life sustaining resources. It could be the air around me. So to me, I don't have to go to a temple or any other religious place to connect to the higher power. I can connect with him if I plant a tree. If I take care of my environment, I can do that. So that's what my belief is in. And I chose this project because I wanted to test my own belief, one, right? And I wanted to understand how a typical spiritual person feels. So this kind of Mandakini's journey, when I was narrating it in the book, it became kind of a learning point for me as well, right? Uh, so this was a good learning experience for me. The feedback has been really good. People have really loved it. Both who are spiritual, both who are not spiritual. This is not a guide. So I was just talking to Shivani, and I told her this is not a self-help book. This is our way of narrating a way of life that has worked for Mandakini. It may or may not work for anybody else. We cannot guarantee that. So this is definitely not a self-help book, but the way Mandakini is leading her life, if that lifestyle helps anybody, it's amazing. I would feel that publishing her life story is successful, even if it works for one person. I'm going to be more than happy, right? But remember, this is not a self-help book. Spirituality is not self-help. It cannot be taught. You have to experience it. You have to feel it. So spirituality is something that comes from within. It's like breaking an egg. You can break the egg in two ways. One is if you break it from outside, you get your breakfast, lunch, dinner, or whatever, right? But if it breaks from inside, a life is born. So that's what the idea of spirituality is. It has to come from within you. So unless and until it comes from within you, it won't come from reading books. It won't comes from attending classes. You have to experience it. Now you can. The best part about spirituality is you don't have to go to a place like Rishikesh to experience it. Spirituality can be experienced right in your home, whether you're living in a bustling city or a village or a farmhouse or wherever. Spirituality can be experienced anywhere. Yoga can be practiced anywhere. Anybody from any religion can practice spirituality. You can be a Hindu and practice spirituality. You can be a Christian, Muslim, Sikh, a Jew, and still practice spirituality. All you need to do is just respect the nature and people around you. That's about it. That's what spirituality is all about. But remember, you have to experience it. So I'm going to read from a chapter, which is a spiritual awakening from the book, just to lead it forward. The purpose of our life is to be happy. This is by a quote by Dalai Lama. Out of everything that the Indian culture has contributed to the world, spirituality by far is the most significant contribution. Indian spiritualism has been in existence since the beginning of human civilization in this part of the world. Travelers from all around the globe have been in awe of the spiritual practices here and have traveled to the subcontinent in search of enlightenment for as long as humans have existed. The common perception is that spiritualism is only related to a particular religion or a set of people. On the contrary, spiritualism or spirituality has nothing to do with a specific religion. So, talking about an atheist like me, if I can be spiritual, anybody can be spiritual. Spirituality is about accepting that others can have beliefs that might be different from your beliefs and still respect them. Spirituality also answers some of the most pertinent questions about life. Since the beginning of time, man has been trying to find an answer to these questions. What is the purpose of our existence? What is that we are born for? Where do I belong? Many philosophers, thinkers, religious experts, scientists, and psychologists have answered these questions. Depending upon their culture, depending upon their thinking, depending upon their background, they all have different answers. And there have been many books and research papers about these subjects. If you go online, that's the best part about internet. You can do a lot of research, find a lot of material about these questions. People can debate endlessly about the purpose of life and our existence, but still, many will be left dissatisfied because I believe that there cannot be a single answer for this question. How we see life and perceive others, including our environment, is totally subjective and can vary from culture to culture and possibly person to person. Spirituality brings everyone on board on a single platform and shows how to explore and find answers to these questions. It also makes it easy for people to accept things as they are. That's what I like about spirituality. It has made me accept a lot of different beliefs which I may not agree, but I still accept them. I still respect them. If you can change them, do it, else don't struggle. I think that's what happens. If you can't change your belief, what's the point in struggling? Be the way you are. Just respect other person's belief, who might have different beliefs. Spirituality simply takes away the struggle we all go through in our everyday life. Our real struggle is about things we can't control, which is a waste of time. Spirituality helps you focus on things that matter and those which are in your purview of control. So that's very important. Spirituality can help you distinct between things which are sort of in your area of control and some things which are beyond your areas of control. And I keep giving this example. You're stuck in traffic, right? You can't control other vehicles, but you can surely control what is happening with inside your vehicle, inside you, when you're actually stuck in the traffic. You can shout all you want, you can be irritated with other passengers in the vehicle, but it doesn't do anything, right? But you can be calm, you can wait for your turn to move beyond the intersection, and you can make your journey more pleasant by controlling yourself. You cannot control others, and spirituality can make this absolutely clear. If you can practice spirituality, it can make your life easy. I'm still learning. I can't say that I am 100% spiritual practitioner. I have my ups and downs in life. Everybody does, right? But I still accept that things happen for greater good. That's what I've accepted, and spirituality has sort of helped me accept that. So here's something that I had written in this chapter. Spiritualism is not the destination. It is, in fact, a journey that leads to a greater understanding of the universe. Remember, spiritualism cannot lead you to a particular destination. It's just the road. The destination will be chosen by you depending upon your understanding, your needs, your background, your environment. But it can definitely lead you to a better understanding of the universe. Spirituality simply recognizes that our role in life has a broader purpose than what we do every day. Spirituality is about looking beyond what you do every day. These are the materialistic things which we consider critical for our survival. This approach can relieve you from dependence on material things and help you understand that your life's greater purpose is something else. Spirituality can also be used to cope with change or uncertainty. I have used this extensively during my change management sessions, and I think the principles of spirituality can be equally helpful in a workplace if we can do it. Give me a moment. So I've been asked to change the camera angle. Sorry about that. I've used the basic tenets of spirituality in my everyday life, which has really helped me. You can be part of any religion or ethnic group and still practice spirituality in your daily life, including your workplace. Spirituality has always been an integral part of my life. This is as per Mandakini. I've always been brought up in this environment from childhood, both at home and school. Spirituality has always guided my connection with people and environment. Everything I do or think takes into account the greater good and due consideration for everything and everyone around me. This is from the book, The Essence of Ganga, Story of Mandakini. And I wrote it from the first person account, which means uh, these are my words, but then the story is from Mandakini's point of view. And like I said, this book talks a lot about spirituality. And the most basic question that I was asked in a previous interview was that, can I practice spirituality? I'm from this religion. Absolutely, you can practice spirituality whether or not you're in India, whether or not you're in Rishikesh, whether or not you live in a big city, whether or not you are from North America, Europe, Middle East, Africa, anywhere, spirituality is for everyone. Uh, Something else that Mandakini wanted to narrate over here is that, you know, it becomes very easy. It has become very easy for people to contribute or attribute everything to logic and science. There are some things which cannot be answered from the sort of lens of logic or science. Let's face it, there are so many things which cannot be answered. I'm a science guy, I'm an atheist, I'm a logical guy, but even I do believe that there are some things which can only be looked from the through the lens of faith. Take from, for example, my mother. She's a Sikh, right? I'm from a Sikh family, and she practices the tenets of Sikh religion every day. I cannot argue with her because I'm an atheist. I cannot put down her beliefs because I'm an atheist. Uh, she looks at her life and life of everybody around her through the lens of faith, and I have absolutely no issues with that. And something that has made Mandakini's life easy is this acceptance. She accepts beliefs of other people as much as she accepts the belief of her own religion and her own lifestyle. She works with different people from different cultural backgrounds, and she's worked successfully with them. And the basis of her life has been mutual respect. And this is what had happened initially during our initial conversation. She was really reluctant to go for this book, right? But we had to convince her through the initial draft and the second draft. She said, "You know what, Jasveer, I can't ask people to respect me just because I've spent so many years in the healthcare sector, and healthcare sector is supposed to be the holiest of holy of of all the professions. You look at healthcare professionals like God." But then she said, "You know what? I can't ask for respect. Respect has to be earned. You can't ask somebody to respect you just because you are a tenured person, you are a senior person, you are senior in terms of age. It comes out of respect." And this became a really big lesson for me as well. Just because you've worked for so many years, you can't demand respect. Respect has to be earned through mutual admiration, and as much as you respect others, the others are going to respect you. And that is one of the bases of the way Mandakini works on all projects. She's working in Pajega to set up a social entrepreneurship workshop, wherein she's going to educate the villagers. She's going to provide healthcare services free of cost over there. So she's got huge plans, and the part of it was to sort of work along with the villagers over there. They were uneducated. They had never seen the kind of healthcare services which Mandakini had worked around. She had worked in world-class hospitals, and I've listed a few of them in the book as well. But the first level, she said, of getting their trust was to respect them, understand their perspective, and she's done that beautifully. She's in the process of setting up the center over there, and every step of the way, she's been consulting the villagers. What should be the direction of the project, what kind of services should be offered. Everything has been from the point of view of the understanding of the villagers. She speaks with them, takes their perspective, respects them, listens to them, and then she's still working on a business plan for that, because she requires a lot of like-minded people to come on board and work for her. This is going to be completely not for profit, and it's going to, the first center is going to come up in Panjagaon. Her aim is to set up such centers in other remote places across India. Panjagaon is only approachable by foot. There are no roads to the village. It's about 2 hours away from Rishikesh. It's a fantastic place. I had gone there about 10 years ago. I loved the place, and the way Mandakini has described it, and sort of I've described it in the book, people are going to fall in love with Panjagaon. So I think respect is again very critical for Mandakini, and she lives her life by that. She works with people through mutual respect, and that's why she's got so much respect from everybody she's ever worked with. We've had a fantastic response from people who know Mandakini and people who don't know Mandakini. they've read the book and they've found it really good and really engaging. So I hope you also can get your hands on the copy of The Essence of Ganga, Story of Mandakini, and you'll also find it useful. And to continue the session, I'm going to read a short story from my previous book, which is Ensemble. Ensemble is a collection of short stories. They are just my weird thoughts, essays about daily life, and childhood memories from the 80s. So I'm going to just briefly read from a chapter called A Ray of Hope. And after that, I'm going to talk about something important that somebody had asked me before the show. Uh, what is this big hoopla about traditional publishing? So I'm going to talk about that, what traditional publishing is all about. Should you go for self-publishing or not? I'm going to talk about that shortly. So I just wanted to read this chapter. This chapter is really close to me because this is the first ever essay I wrote when I came to Canada. We were in quarantine for 14 days, me and my wife, when we came here in August 2020. And we were shit scared of quarantine. And I mean, we were in India. COVID had started in March 2020. Uh, and by God's grace, we never got any symptoms of COVID when we were there, and when we came here, we didn't have. But the mandatory requirement by Canadian government was to be in quarantine for 14 days, and I was scared. I had never been, and we had never been quarantined before, so we had a lot of aspirations, a lot of fear. But nonetheless, we entered into the hotel room with a ray of hope. So the chapter's name is The Ray of Hope. I'm just going to read a few excerpts from it, and then I'm going to talk more about publishing. So, quarantine is defined as a state, period, or a place of isolation, a restriction placed on people or animals who have been exposed to some infectious or contagious disease. This part deals with my quarantine experience. I don't intend to criticize the practice since it is one of the necessary measures to control the spread of COVID-19 virus. The COVID-19 pandemic crippled the world economy ruthlessly. And remember, this was written in August 2020. Thousands of people lost their jobs across the globe. Hence, it was quite challenging for me to give up my well established career and position in India to shift to Canada. Often, I would question myself as to why would anyone give up a suitable job in this hard period when so many people are losing their jobs. And honestly, I'm still unable to find a fair explanation for this significant question. I hope after some period, I might be able to give an affirmative reply. I wanted to read this story because a friend of mine wanted an answer to this question. Why did I move to Canada? I couldn't answer it then, but I can honestly say that this was a new adventure for me. And I must say, the adventure is going really good. I have a full time job. Uh, I have a good job. I manage two companies online. I've got really good friends. I've made really good friends in Shivani Dalal and Arun Bhagwati. Uh, I met a lot of new people in Canada. It's been a wonderful journey so far, and I'm optimistic about my future here. And I'm going to go do good things over here for me and for other people as well. So I hope that answers the question, why did I move to Canada? I moved to Canada for a bigger adventure, for a different adventure. So when we went into quarantine after arriving in Canada, there was a piece of emotional baggage of uncertainty accompanying us into our hotel room of Holiday Inn located in Toronto. The stress of being confined onto a small room for 14 days was bound to, sorry about that, was bound to elevate the effects of this emotional baggage along with the thought of uncertain future in a new country. Thankfully, the emotional upheaval didn't happen. Being quarantined in a room for 14 days can be difficult and stressful. Anybody who has gone through it will second it. The limited space of the room, the loneliness involving no socialization can be really damaging. And in this part, I want to unravel a ray of hope I discovered while confining myself into the four walls of the hotel room. My wife and I tried everything to kill time during quarantine. It involved chatting with family and friends. Thanks to Went and surf and Bob Kahn for internet. So I did some research and found out who invented internet. They were the guys. Watching numerous web series, playing games, writing. Well, I was writing, painting, my wife was painting, imagining strolling in a park while walking around the room and exercising. However, every now and then boredom would creep in, especially in the evenings. And days are pretty long in Canada, so that's one difference that I found the moment we landed. The sun was setting at 9 o'clock, which was very different from India, and it was kind of unnerving while being quarantined in the room. But a little together time in a room for 14 days can also give you a perspective. As I began writing this piece, sitting next to the window, looking at a plant dressed in green and yellow apparel, I realized my perspective was already changing. A ray of hope, my beacon of light, may sound small, but it was this small thing that gave me optimism, and it was none other than a little plant, a sapling, which was growing on the gravel covered roof next to my room. It was isolated and growing on a surface that possibly didn't support plant growth. Yet it had found a way to stand tall and shine whenever sun rays hit the rooftop, and I decided to name it Hope. Away from my family in India, life was confined in one of the rooms of a big hotel in Toronto for the past 10 days. Every now and then, I used to stare out of the window, looking at the view that was as as dead as life on Mars, craving to discover some life. As I peeked out of the window of my room, located on the seventh floor of the hotel, for some signs of life, all I could see was traffic moving up and down the highway, a couple of flights landing and taking off far away at the airport, about 14 kilometers away, a parking area next to an under construction building where cars seemed to be in a virtual trance, not moving at all. I could hardly spot any birds flying around. There was literally nothing visible from my window. The view was monotonous, but it was amongst this nothing that I found hope to cheer for. The only thing that stood out among this entire nothing was hope, a tiny sapling growing in the middle of the rooftop next to our floor. Every morning I used to wake up, unfold the curtain, and make it a point to check on hope. I wished I could reach it, serve it some water, and nourish it. I wanted to take hope away from that place and plant it in a flower pot, but I was unable to do that. All I could do was pray that hope blooms and lives a fulfilling life befitting all other plants. Sometimes I used to think I was going crazy in the quarantine, thinking about a tiny plant emotionally. But life has the most unpredictable ways of teaching us to consider hope as my teacher. Everything around us has something to teach us. All we need to do is look around keenly and observe. Hope for me is the lighthouse that stands tall, defying all odds. Hope for me is the oasis in the middle of a desert. Hope for me is like the confidence of a winner. And hope for me is the Muhammad Ali standing tall right in front of his competitors who are far bigger and stronger than him. Hope for me is the sign. So I hope my friend is now happy, and I hope he was able to listen to me. I'm so sorry. Just dropped my phone. Sorry about that. Welcome to the world of digital shows wherein anything can happen. Sorry about that. So I hope my friend has been able to listen to this and he found the answer to the question, why did I come to Canada? And he loved the story. Thank you so much for reading it. And I hope you've also loved A Ray of Hope. And something common between both why I wanted to read A Ray of Hope from Ensemble and why I wanted to read Mandakini's story is hope. It's about faith. And writing Mandakini's story and writing this article sort of changed me while I was sitting in the room thinking about quarantine, the stress of quarantine. I found out if you can have faith, if you can hope, if you can find hope in even inanimate things. I found hope in a small plant, growing up next to our window. You can find hope anywhere, anytime, in anything you love. And it could be music, it could be acting, it could be drawing, it could be writing, it could be anything. If you can't find hope in a person, you can find hope in an activity. There are so many institutions, so many educational institutions who use experiential learning as a way of teaching things. That's nothing but a way of giving hope to the kids. There are addicts who go through these programs, and through mountaineering, swimming, or different activities, they are being helped to stay away from drugs. So that is a good way of doing it. Find an activity, find something that keeps your brain going, that gives you an aim to get up every day, that gives you an objective, and you can find hope. So when somebody says that I have no hope in life, they've simply stopped looking it. Hope is around you, just look for it. So that was a brief about the essence of Mandakini and my other book, which is Ensemble. I'm on Instagram as author jasveersinghdangi. I've got a Facebook page which is jasveersinghdangi, and I've got a website which is jasveersinghdangi.com. You can get in touch with me. My new venture, which is HSD Ascent Services, is my first venture in Canada. That's kind of an online side hustle that I have started. Here in Canada, we assist authors in writing, in sort of coaching them on how to do storytelling effectively. We also offer editorial services, and we also offer ghostwriting services. HSD happens to be my father's name, Harinder Singh Dangi. I have always looked up to him. He was a publishing professional. We lost him in 2013, but whatever I am because of my father. So I have dedicated the company to my father, Harinder Singh Dangi, hence HSD. People always think it's a very strange name for a company, but it's my father's name, HSD Ascent Services, and I'm really proud of him. And I hope he's also proud of me, what I've achieved today. So the next thing I wanted to cover, and this is just a solo show, guys. I have no idea when to stop, and should I be waiting for questions. Only Shivani can type and reach out to me for questions, but I'm going to keep going ahead. So I wanted to talk about publishing. So typically in India, we call it self-publishing and traditional publishing. But over here in the West, I found out that you aren't a published author unless and until you are published through traditional publishing. So either you are a published author or you are a self-published author. Now the pertinent question is, should I be going for self-publishing, right? Why must I spend money because I have a good story? I have edited it myself or gotten it edited from a professional guy. So why must I pay for publishing? This is from my experience, guys. I came with the same experience in 2018 when I started writing, and that's also a very nice story. I'm going to tell you that later. If you missed that story in the trailer, the teaser, as to how I became an author. Self-publishing is all about money. The more money you spend, the better marketing you will get, and a better publishing solution you will get. Traditional publishing, on the other hand, is the publisher selects your script, they work on it, they publish it, they market it, and they do everything. Now the question comes in, why aren't they accepting my script? Very simple, they have their hands full because they work on it diligently. They are accepting very few scripts compared to the self-publishing company, the traditional publishers. They are incurring all the expenses in terms of editing, in terms of designing, formatting, in terms of marketing. And we know how big the scope of a traditional publisher is, right? Their books are available off the shelf. They get big marketing deals. They have literary agents behind them. So that's a complicated process. I don't want to get into it. But the question, why aren't they accepting it? It might be a possibility that your script is not engaging. That's why they are not responding, or that's why they're rejecting, or possibly they have their hands full because they have very limited manpower. And the commissioning editors, the editors over there are top notch. They work really hard to improve your manuscript and create a winning solution. And then, of course, the marketing team comes in, the illustrator comes in, they are designing the cover pages and everything. They're not charging anything from you, right? So it's a tough job. It's a gamble. Hence, they've also introduced something called hybrid. A few traditional publishers have also introduced a hybrid solution wherein wherein they are asking you to bear the part expense and part expense is taken care by them. So I think that's a very good solution. If you can find a hybrid solution, go for it. A hybrid publisher, go for it. Else, self-publishing is there. So when any reader picks up a book, right, they don't care if it's a self-published book or a traditionally published book. As long as the story is engaging, the cover page is really attractive, the name is, out of box. It's a different name. People are going to buy your stuff. And when it comes to self-publishing, my suggestion is go for 80-20 rule, 20% on publishing and 80% on marketing. You have to put in a lot of effort for marketing. Make sure you do that. But the answer, should I go for self-publishing? Absolutely yes. You must go for self-publishing if you are not getting through traditional publishers, or if you wish to wait for years to come so that a traditional publisher or a literary agent can pick up your manuscript, more than welcome. However, if you want to publish it now, self-publishing is an excellent option. But don't blame the traditional publishers for not picking up the manuscript. Like I said, they pick up the niche ones, the ones they think are really promising and will get them the results of the input that they are putting in. So it's absolutely natural for them to handpick the books. Right. The next thing that I wanted to talk about was the storytelling bit. And Arun Bhagwati and Shivani Dalal, when they started off this company, a story club, it was all about storytelling. And they've had some really successful festivals. They've had successful gatherings around the art of storytelling in different ways. And that's what I wanted to talk about. What should I write in my book? Your book is nothing but a story. Even if you are creating a self-help book, it's all about storytelling. And I had this nice discussion with a Vastu Shastra expert. He wanted to write a book about Vastu Shastra, but he wanted it in the form of a story. Now, if a concept is explained in the form of a story, it actually brings about uh, better learning outcomes and more effective learning. The efficacy of learning increases. So if you're writing a self-help book or maybe a technical book, write it in the form of a story. Everybody has a story to tell and everybody loves to listen a story. If you're explaining a concept to a kid in the form of a story, that is more effective. Nowadays storytelling is being used in education as well. So make sure whatever you are writing is in the form of a story. It's an engaging story for the readers to follow easily, and it's a niche story. You can write anything in the form of a story, and that becomes more and more and more effective, right? Uh, Another question that I was asked, and which I was asked to cover in this is, uh, when I publish my, when I complete my manuscript, should I get it edited or not? Now that's a no-brainer. You must get your book edited. There is no solution for editing. There is no other way of publishing a book. Make sure you get it edited from a good editor. That might involve spending some money. Yes, if you're going for self-publishing, everything is going to cost you. Of course, if it's a traditional publishing, they won't be charging you anything. They have their own editors and they are going to get it done for you. But when it comes to when it comes to self-publishing, you will have to spend money on editing, and editing is a very important part of the publishing process. In fact, let me put it this way: more time is going to be spent on editing than writing the book itself. Listen to your editor, listen to the changes they are suggesting. They are the experts of storytelling, they are the experts of book writing. And if you think the changes are logical, go for it. If you think you have a better suggestion, go for it, discuss with the editor. But answer to the question, do I need editing? Absolutely yes. A whole resounding yes. You do need editing for sure. Uh, right, guys, I am out of questions. And if you have any questions, Shivani is, of course, going to let me know if I have any time left. But I think it's 12:45. Let me just check my messages. Yep. I hope I was able to make this session fruitful, make this episode fruitful for a story club and everybody watching around the world. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me on Instagram, Facebook, or through my website and on LinkedIn as well. My name is Jasveersinghdangi, or in India, Jasveersinghdangi. This is a joke. When I came to Canada, I had promised myself that I'll not pick up accent, but everybody calls me Jasveer over here. So I started picking it up, and unknowingly, I keep saying that. But yeah, you can get in touch with me through my website, Instagram, LinkedIn, or Facebook, or through a story club as well. Thank you so much, everyone, for taking time out. And once again, a big shout out to Arun Bhagwati and Shivani Dalal for organizing this and giving the opportunity to be here. A story club, you guys are doing a fantastic job when it comes to popularizing storytelling, when it comes to talking about storytelling, and when it comes to giving authors a really good platform to reach a wider audience. Thank you so much for this opportunity, and thank you so much, everyone, for listening to me and tuning in today. Have a good day.